Jumping out right now and just walk out. Not a good idea.
You can test the wildflowers in California. Test the wildflowers in California. This is really so tragic. So tragic. We've had experience with terrible fires before, and I know we have to do something. Of course, it relates to a lot of things, whether it's the power company or whether it's climate change or whatever it is. But this is almost a freakish fire. The manner in which it has exploded, and we really have to take a look at all of the factors involved. Do you think it was misuse of fire management as a mechanism? No, I don't think. I think everything should be subjected to scrutiny when you have a tragedy of this kind. But I think what the president said is And how do you feel like that's your chances?
Leader Pelosi, what's going to be your message today? It's your first caucus meeting since the Democrats win.
Well, I think we're still talking about the week we're in. This is our caucus of the 115th Congress. So we're still dealing with the end of the year issues like the appropriations bill, the omnibus bill that we have to pass, and other initiatives taking us further to what we said.
Do you have
lower health care costs, grow the economy with good paying jobs, building the infrastructure of our country, reforming, and hopefully we can do some of that before.
And what about the border wall money that President Trump
But that's a whole negotiation, but I have not been a supporter of the border wall.
What's your message to the group that says they have enough votes to stop you from becoming speaker?
Come on in, the one is one.
You invited me in?
Thanks.
Ellen, you get what you say. Remember the TC? I asked her what her message
I'm sorry I got in your way.
That's good. We got stepped on my cable though.
Right against my I'm sorry.
No, I was fine. I was just worried I
I know you
ran into you.
Once you get going, I'm like, okay, I gotta get a little closer.
Yeah. No, that's good. Hopefully you got something.
I wish that.
I mean, you didn't really see your eyes. But yeah. Pointed in the right direction. Exactly.
Actually, here on Sunday.
Can you not stand in the hallway, please? Morning.
Hallway people?
Can you get out of the hallway, please?
Hallway. Walking all the shots. Yeah.
No, he's not the guy. He's this guy. He's just thinking about what's fucking anybody.
Sorry we're walking down the hallway.
Morning, Mr. Cleaver.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Congressman. Good morning, everyone.
How are you?
I'm doing great.
That's an exciting shot.
How are you, sir?
All right.
Good.
He really scared
Sorry, sorry.
Right, so you've got to squeeze in first, yeah? Come on.
Hey, how are you?
Hello? Yes. 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 Well, I'm all alone, so there is no primary. It's just, that's yeah. Well, no, that's true.
Oh my God.
Morning, ma'am.
Hi.
You're not hearing, eh? Yeah, that's all you're gonna hear. I only have a sound person here. Okay? All right.
I don't know. Let me,
Hard not to be happy. Hey, how you guys doing? Good morning. It's a good day this morning, huh? All right.
Morning.
the new reality. Yeah.
You're in the majority,
All right, yeah. Thank you.
No, outside. Yeah, outside on steps.
And that's
Yeah, just that nut?
yeah. Well, no, do you mean not using it right now?
Yeah, because you're doing Fellini.
Yeah, this is access how it is.
Yeah, yes. But a good one.
Some days.
It's not.
No, he didn't. But it moved. It moved.
But you see, you saw it.
Good morning.
Morning. Morning. Morning.
Hey, what's going on?
Good morning.
Hey. I didn't see it.
Whatever you want.
Done already?
No, I know that.
So is out?
Are we all in?
Okay, but so you're gonna stay where you are.
Are we in?
Okay, okay. So we're gonna stay where we are. Just let me know if she calls me.
No, I'm guessing.
I
Haven't seen you in a long time. You're looking good.
Well, still with the Barons?
Rooters yet?
You're for Fox.
Wow. But still an enemy of the people, right?
Couldn't see people?
Yeah.
Are they all in?
So yes,
I have no idea. I thought the meeting was supposed to start at 9, so I would have.
As long as the Lowe's been there and standing.
Yeah. So you think what happens
That's okay. I'll see what they get. Nancy. Back is called. Okay, so what position is Rick? Okay. Okay, sounds good. Okay, thank you. Thanks, sir.
Trying not to be in all your shoes, so go for the rest of it.
Morning. Good morning.
You're gonna miss me on ag.
No, we're just
How you doing, sir?
Doing fine, doing fine.
Morning. Morning, guys.
Morning.
Oh, okay.
So I'm gonna hang out on this side.
Yeah, we don't have to worry about Tom's shoulders.
You cut quite a swath. Oh, right.
Yeah, that's what screen is going to fly. Anyway, I didn't actually say that, but that was in my thoughts. I believe you.
Was it something that had?
Right now it's on the queue.
The Democratic caucus.
Yes, Scott.
You got audio problem with anybody?
amazing learning experience.
Well, then they can take care of it. Look, they can independently. I'm a hybrid. Oh, Walt? Makes it sound fancy.
My name's Tip. I'm in the hallway there for the stay out for the Democrats.
I ain't good.
It's like, which one's your primary microphone? So I have a primary microphone just on the ground because I don't have anybody to hold it. That's why you guys are only getting Matt sound.
I don't know.
So if you would just, Sarah, it was a female recording, and we really right when everybody was showing up. So there's nothing I can do on that.
The biggest ones that we have
Yep.
are at
So I just want to know that's what the story is. It's not that the mic's out or anything. It's there. It's just on the ground.
Yeah, just across the street from Penn and Drexel.
May have been huge.
Nice campus.
Yeah, because there's nobody holding a mic in it. So you're just hearing my camera mic. Well, the camera mic's on channel 2 and the primary mic's on the line. But either way, it's just Matt's sound on both because I didn't have anybody to hold the microphone in his face. And it's crowded here and she's 10 feet away. So, there's nobody here to hold it. Right, so that's it. Yeah, that's what you're hearing is either Matt sound from the floor or from the camera. Gotta go. All right, gotta go. Bye.
So happy I called you at dark 30.
You're doing a great job, though. Somebody
It's not progress.
How long does this thing last? Anybody know?
No idea. Oh, you sure? How's it going? All right.
That's like but even the fact that he's saying that at that show.
Usually would have this here, you know what's going on.
Tag.
True.
A lot of them have
Are they opening it up to us? We get the leftovers? But the reason why they're filtering out is because there's all
It was. I mean, it wasn't. It was just 0. People could
if they talk, it's going to be on the other side. Where the microphone stay down.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, actually,
Comes out. So,
If you see that, it was on the
these speakers that doesn't endorse these changes, and then they're endorsing. So like you mentioned, Schrader's on that one too.
Well, Schrader.
Yeah, so he has just officially passed. So then I'm already
Ready before the weekend. Yeah, definitely. There you go. I'm surprised.
it would be career.
Even if they would do president.
Well, she doesn't have a vote. She's
That would have been, not too late. 7 6 years.
Right.
She'd offer the right now.
I'll come back.
Thank you. It'll be a couple of hours.
John, you want the mic? So, do me a favor. Just keep it here. Don't do it because I can't hear you. It's direction.
I don't care if they can't hear me. It's,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
And I have the voting. The voting. I got the
Questions are important, answers are.
Justice issues and sentences and so forth. Can't serve out of the jury.
You don't have a bad
Can you get one of
Did he have to give some up? Microphone test.
Hey, what's up, man? Here's your microphone. You doing okay? Can you do this check?
Yeah, sure. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, Pelosi stopped all the way around.
Oh, nice.
Didn't get any audio, so she's down there.
Oh, shit. Okay.
And there was no one to hold the mic.
She's talking about fires now?
Oh, I know. It's a bad program.
How may I help you?
No, you're all good.
Oh, I already told you. I told you. I told you.
Oh, there he is. Great, thanks.
Do I know my what?
Okay.
We'll be your escort.
Morning.
Good morning, everybody.
what your work number is, just in case someone can get in touch with you. Yeah.
You want my email?
Yeah, just in case you need to go away or something. Okay.
When you get right
So you're gonna do it.
it's not turned on. That's cool. So right here. Yeah, we did a lot of Thanks for Thompson. Good morning.
We asked you about the new agenda class. Do you have any reason to think that things are going to be a little better, a little more productive than in years past?
Could you open up a little to the
Well, you know, I'm excited about the opportunity. There's real excitement in the room. People looking forward to it, and the Democrats will govern. We'll be transparent. We'll make sure that the public is clear about the process, and we'll do the right thing.
You think you can push through items that have been sitting on the table for a couple of years?
Well, I don't think there's any question about that. From all indications, we'll look up and fix the health care issue once and for all. Pre-existing conditions won't be a bone of contentions anymore. We'll look at election security and a lot of things that are on the minds of Americans.
I know you got a gentleman behind here trying to get you as well.
Congressman, do you know who you're going to support for the caucus chair race?
Can we flip
Me?
around, do you mind, and turn this way? Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, a little more.
We have two good candidates, and I'm supporting Barbara Lee.
Okay. And you think that Nancy Pelosi is going to be the next speaker?
Yes.
You expect any infighting over that?
No, all infighting will be done by election time.
Why are you supporting Barbara Lee?
She, in my instance, is the best person. I've known her for quite a while. Hakeem Jeffries is a good person, and we have a choice between two good people. It's just that I'm supporting one over the other.
Do you wish Hakeem Jeffries did not jump in that race?
Well, you know, in America, we see a lot of differences, either at the ballot box or through an election process. It's a good choice that we have two CBC members to choose from, and in this instance, I'm choosing Barbara Lee.
Were you surprised to see Congresswoman DeGette challenge Mr. Clyburn for his spot?
No, you know, again, this is democracy at work. And I'm convinced that at the end of the day, people will choose, and they'll choose one of the two, and we'll go forward.
Who are you going to choose in that race?
Jim Clyburn. I've known him for 40 years. I mean, he's a good person. I know his family, his reputation, and his work. And so I'm comfortable in supporting him.
Should the threshold for a speaker on the floor just be majority support in the caucus?
Well, there's some discussion about that. You know, I've been here for 25 years, and we've operated with the rules as they are, so I'm comfortable where the rules are.
Is the CBC going to make any endorsements in these leadership races?
I don't know. We meet at 12 o'clock today. Chairperson is standing in the room. But I would assume we've expressed an interest that with 55 members coming in the next Congress, there has to be some seats at the table for CBC leadership. And I would assume that our Democratic caucus will hear that, and we'll make sure that those seats are available.
Mr. Richmond put out a letter that said there should be a member of the CBC in one of the top two positions. Was that the feeling of the whole CBC? And
well, you know, we just been here 2 days. He did that while we were out taking the majority back. And so I think now's the time for us to discuss it. But I don't think there's any question that the CBC has to be at the table.
Thank you very much. But in one of the top two spots?
Well, we have to be at the table. You know, we got a little more wiggle room because you're in the majority.
And I'm excited about that discussion. And let's see what develops. There are 4 or 5 leadership positions, and I think we have good people running for 2 of them at this point, and that would create an opportunity for that to happen.
Did you sign the Boyer letter supporting him for majority leader, or are you holding on that?
Well, I wasn't asked.
He had a letter yesterday with 155.
Yeah, I'm not on the letter.
Does that show enough support, you think, for leaders?
Well, 155 is a good number, and I think at the end of the day, we'll have the leaders of the Democratic majority, but I think the leadership will reflect the Congressional Black Caucus in its leadership structure, and I'm absolutely convinced of that.
Thank you, Congressman.
Thank you. Thank you.
You did. Okay. Just push it around.
Yeah.
Would it be better if you and I were next to each other?
Thanks, that's good.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Thanks,
How are
man.
you?
How's it going?
Couldn't he have a case of Skittles? It looked like a case of Skittles.
That's why you gotta show up early. And
Steal all the candy from the caucus.
it's pretty good. That's how you get the after party going. Like, you miss the Skittles. Come do some negotiating.
Can I get behind and shoot above you guys? I think that's better.
Yeah.
He's got the mic.
I got this too.
Yeah, we'll be all right.
If you want it.
That way you're not looking at me and I'm not looking at you. No, it's good. It's all good.
Just kind of through it. That works.
Paul, you want me to just duck down here?
Yeah, yeah. Anywhere convenient. Stay out of their shot.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, step over here. Steady.
Would you like my stool?
No, he needs to be low. Oh, I see. The stool. I got you. Yeah. I always think of standing on stools.
Thank you, though. Appreciate it. Kind of you.
Keating, how are you?
Doing well, thanks.
Ask you a quick question about your agenda.
Well, let me
Just a quick one about you got a new class coming in.
Yes.
Everyone always seems to think that's a time for some renewed hope that you can accomplish what perhaps you haven't in the past. What's your level of optimism compared to what you saw the last 2 years?
Well, I think there's a somberness about the seriousness of where we are, and I think there's a really strong feeling of responsibility in our caucus now, and we want to govern. We want to govern, and I think this wasn't a caucus of just celebration or anything. This was a serious caucus where we're looking forward at doing things that'll show the ability to govern. That's what we all heard in our campaigns.
What's the top item that you think you might be able to knock off the list that you couldn't?
I think we're going to look at issues that deal with some of the fundamental issues, job issues, the economy, make sure we're protecting health care, certainly. But I do think we're going to look at those type of issues, serious issues, things that will get support and transparency so the public is a part of what our decisions are. So I think, thank you.
Is Leader Pelosi the best Democrat to lead you guys through all that agenda?
We got such a great number. What a pleasant problem we have.
Thanks, Congressman.
Sorry.
Keating?
That's what Paul said. I trust Paul, you're right.
Paul?
He responded.
Paul knows.
Hi, guys. Hi.
Good?
Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't crowd you.
Yes.
How much are you? Huh? Yeah, I'm sort of freelancing. I knew you were here. I said that's plenty. That's all the crew I need.
Well, we don't have a quorum yet.
No, they come at 1.
Yeah, 10:15.
Did their mom dress them up nicely?
4:30. Practice. 4. Yes. Mom's there dressed super nice.
So is that okay?
I'm like,
It needs to like be touching the rope. Got it.
I was like,
Can you move these stanchions down to the end over there?
get rid of them? No. Negative.
Chip, what's your
Nice try,
running
though.
circuit? Do you know?
No.
Camera's like,
Where to find it? There you go. Run 238, EC 903.
Standing ovation.
Right. Cool. I am rolling on all this stuff, so it's taking it too
do you ever think?
I had just had one at 9:30.
But I'm pretty sure they're just rolling from things to that.
Oh, okay.
So I've checked multiple times.
Here's the soundbite.
Was it your right?
Is it a question?
And I asked him that yesterday. He's like, yes. You're like, hiring like good. They're right about.
Yeah, some of them are a little too peppy.
Well, just like,
Yeah.
so like, it should be very, he would be the really happy.
Good work. Here, I'm going to give you this.
Congressman Fozzie?
Yeah.
Hi. Can I ask you real fast, just a quick question about with the new class coming in, the new agenda, just what's your level of optimism that things are going to be a little more productive than perhaps the last couple of years?
Well, we're going to try and help President Trump deliver on his long-standing promise to rebuild America's infrastructure. And, that was one of our major 3 themes across the country. Obviously, it resonates with people, and it's got to be real. They proposed a fake plan last time to privatize everything, toll everything. It didn't go anywhere. In a Republican Congress, it's sure as heck not going anywhere. A Democratic Congress, we need real investment, and we need the jobs it'll produce and the efficiency it'll produce.
Immigration, funding for the wall.
It's not my jurisdiction, and I don't think opinions on our side have changed on that.
Who's going to be the next Speaker of the House?
Good question. I think we'll resolve that in the coming weeks.
Are you supporting Leader Pelosi for Speaker at this point?
We'll see you later.
Thanks, guys. That was a see you later.
I'm so sorry.
That's all right.
Open up the hallway.
Sorry. I'm not sure how you score. Congresswoman Waters, do you have a moment to talk with us?
I wish I did, but I got no community.
Please.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Wanted to ask how you're feeling about the speaker race.
What do you mean, how do I feel about it?
How are you planning to vote in the speaker race?
It's clear I'm not going to be voting for the current leader.
And what's the case that you're making to new members about why they should join you and block?
I'm not making a case to anyone. I'm voting what I think is right. I believe we need change, and so I'm supporting change. I've not talked to any of the new members. I'm not sure that I will. But I think that if, in fact, we were elected on change, then we should have change.
Do you have a candidate in mind, or would you stand yourself for the post?
I just might.
You just might what? Have a candidate or stand yourself for the post?
Either way.
Wow.
Maybe. No, I'm just joking. I don't plan to run.
Oh, yeah.
But there are a number of people who I think are capable. And so we're exploring, talking to those people.
Why are you interested?
I never really thought much about it, to be perfectly honest. I would say this, is we tout diversity in this party. There's no diversity in our leadership. As we talk about the base of the party, black and brown, there are no black and brown people in our leadership. So if we're gonna, well, we don't know. I mean, if we're going to talk about it, if we're going to talk the talk, we need to walk the walk.
Does Clyburn not have the support?
He has my support, but he has opposition. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there's no guarantee. The other two don't have opposition. There's no guarantee. He absolutely has my wholehearted support, and I'll do everything I can to make sure that he's elected.
Were you surprised?
Pelosi have the votes to take her down? That's what Moulton is saying. Do you think
I trust what Seth said.
Why aren't you getting involved in efforts to call new members?
Well, I just haven't done it. I've just been busy. But we have time. There's a lot of time between now and January 3rd.
How important is it to have a candidate declare that he or she will challenge Pelosi?
Well, I don't know that it's that important. I think when you think about it this way, let us just hypothetically say that there are not enough votes for her to win on the floor. Someone will emerge if no one has emerged before that. We're not going to allow the Republicans to have the speaker. So certainly there will be someone that will step up. And those discussions are going on now.
What's the timeline for that becoming clear?
Probably within the next week or so.
Congresswoman, how does the party actually provide the opportunities for young talent to emerge? What needs to change in the way things are run around here for young talent to actually get the leadership positions to become the next speaker?
Well, I think that you don't do it by just creating more and more and more positions that really have no real authority. I think that what you have to do is give young people authority. You have to give them the opportunity. We have a lot of very bright people in this caucus, and everybody knows it. But it's very difficult to move up in an environment where the same people run everything all the time. So now that you have just gotten in trouble, I'm going to my office. Oh, here we go now.
No, this one, she's on the tunnel.
Thank you.
Look at this guy. You need a couple of cheeseburgers. Hey, man.
Oh, welcome.
Yeah, maybe just stop here. Thank you. Can we ask you what the message was in there and what's going to be your pitch to be the next caucus chairman?
Well, the message was that, we stayed disciplined throughout this process in terms of how we communicated to the American people, lowering health care costs, increasing pay, focused on a real infrastructure plan, cleaning up corruption in Washington, D.C. There was tremendous operational unity from beginning to end. and we need to maintain that in order to be successful. We won the majority, now we want to keep the majority, and in order to do so, we have to stay disciplined and unified.
What do you think this new class will bring to the table?
Well, the new class has phenomenal talent, energy, ability, intellect. Many of them have served this country already, will continue to serve this country in a new capacity, and there will be a rebirth here in large measure because of the new class.
There's some doubt that Leader Pelosi has the votes to lock up the speakership. Are you ruling yourself out for a bid to ascend to that position if it falls apart on the floor?
I am. I'm running for one thing, and that's House Democratic Caucus Chair.
Republicans on the Senate side are already saying, there's nothing that'll come out of this body that will make it through a Republican Senate. Is there anything that House Democrats can work with Senate Republicans on?
Well, we were very clear in what we laid out. We had a for the people agenda. We're not going to fight for the wealthy, the well-off, and the well-connected. We're going to fight for the people. And as part of that, we said we're going to focus on lowering the high cost of prescription drugs. Donald Trump said on the campaign trail that that's something that we should do. We're going to bring it to life because he talks the talk, he hasn't walked the walk. We've said we want a real infrastructure plan, $1 trillion, 16 million good-paying jobs. He's acknowledged that our bridges, roads, tunnels, airports, mass transportation system are crumbling. He's talked the talk, he hasn't walked the walk. We're going to help him do that. He said drain the swamp. We said clean up corruption. We believe that the system is broken. Again, he's done nothing about it. He's made the swamp a cesspool. We're going to help him keep his promise to the American people.
Do you believe that Nancy Pelosi is going to get enough votes to be Speaker?
Yes.
Are you in any efforts to try to convince some of the new members to vote for her, even though they've said they won't?
Well, Congress has 435 members. That means there's 435 independent contractors. So I'm a yes vote all the way through the end, but everybody's going to make their individual decisions.
You think the fact that this is dragging her out a little bit is hurting her or hurting the caucus?
No, absolutely not. I mean, I think this is part of change. This is a good problem to have in terms of working out what the new leadership team is going to look like in the majority. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Okay, we can reset the hallway, please.
There's some doubt that Leader Pelosi's got the votes to lock up the speakership. Where do you think that that's coming in right now?
I think there's a number of people who heard the American people call for change, and what you basically have is the establishment surrounding our current leadership, and the American people want change, and we're going to try to give it to them.
Congressman, would you run against her, or
No,
you should?
I have no interest. I think there are several candidates out there. They're great candidates. That we have a very talented caucus, with a lot of talent, and we just got to figure out who it's going to be. If anybody, but we're going to bring change. The people want change. And this is the establishment versus change. In Youngstown, Ohio, they want change moving forward.
Does it hurt the credibility of this process if these alternative candidates have not emerged yet? Because right now we're trying to take on this person with no one.
Well, ultimately you want a candidate, but at the same time, we have a process that's in place, and we're going to move forward with what we're doing. There's a significant number of people who have committed and promised that they would not vote for current leadership, and so we need to start having a family conversation about what direction we move in. And Karen Bass, Marcia Fudge, there's a lot of very talented women that we could put in the leadership position, and we look forward to having that conversation at some point.
Significant votes. Do you have the number to deny her this week?
We have a significant number of votes.
But doesn't mean that you have.
We'll be here all week. We'll make sure you keep up
When's
to
your
speed.
letter coming out?
Not sure.
Do you have to do it this week?
It depends. I mean, if the momentum keeps building, like we see it is, then we may keep it open for a little while.
You received significant support 2 years ago. Why aren't you
Thank
interested
you.
this time around?
Say that a little louder.
Why aren't you
They didn't hear you in the back.
around?
I was kind of almost forced into doing it last time because we couldn't get anybody else to run, and I think there are people who are showing some interest should things shake up that I think would be very talented people in the caucus, and we'll find out. But we got to take this first step.
Congressman, you mentioned 2 women. Do you think the next speaker
Hold on,
should...
I'm going to take the woman's question.
What is it going to take to get
See,
those people who have expressed private interest to come out publicly and actually challenge her?
Well, I think showing the support of other people, having people who are current members, longtime standing members, who think that moving forward we need some new leadership and change. That we're here to help the incoming members who have made these commitments during their campaign. They should not be asked to walk the plank on their first vote, break a promise on their first vote.
But have these people sort of articulated, I need to see at least 20 members committing publicly to voting against her on the floor? Like, is there something that they're...
Yeah, well, obviously, like any issue here, the more people you have, the better. And that number, I will tell you, is growing. So we're just going to keep at it.
Congressman, you mentioned 2 women on your theoretical shortlist. Does the next speaker need to be a woman? Should it be a woman?
I think the ones I'm looking at, the ones I'm pushing, like the Marsha Fudges of the world and those kind of people that are Midwest. I also have a Midwestern concern here. If you look at everybody running now, there's absolutely nobody in the Midwest other than Sherry Bustos, who's now running for DCCC. So the top 6 positions are not Midwest, and the Midwest needs to be represented as well in our leadership, given the fact that we want to rebuild the blue wall that we lost to Trump.
Congressman, you voted for Nancy Pelosi on the floor last time, even though you ran against her. Would you support her on the floor this time around? No. Definitely not.
Definitely not.
And Seth Moulton told us last night he was 100% confident that you have the votes to block her. Was he out over his skis a little bit? You seem less confident.
I agree with him.
I think there's a chance of people to vote present, though? Yes. That would be their way around this?
No, I don't think enough. I don't think enough to make a difference. And again, we're asking these newer members, or the leadership's asking these newer members to vote against a promise that they made to their constituents, which I feel opened the door for them to be able to win. And when you win saying one thing, you can't come down here and have the leadership ask you on your first vote to go back on your word.
But if you're 100% confident, why isn't the letter out? Why isn't there an alternative candidate?
Well, as I said, as the momentum builds, we want to make sure that we have the maximum number on it. But there'll be a letter, and then there'll be a significant number of people who won't be on the letter, who also have told you, even in the last few days, that they're still not voting on the floor or in the caucus. That number will be in addition to the letter.
Are you guys still planning to introduce that rule today, later today in the caucus?
I believe so. Yeah. Okay. Good. Thanks, guys.
All I got to do is shut. You tell me, I would have stayed away. We are very critical of national It's not
Just for a second. All right. Senator, please. Talk about the mood in there and the next steps going forward.
Well, you can imagine the mood is very good, very up, and very together. I think there's a conviction in our caucus, and I think among our new members that we have a responsibility as well as an opportunity. And we're obviously pleased to be in the majority, but we have a responsibility in the majority, and we have a responsibility to make sure that what we talked about in healthcare, what we talked about in jobs, what we talked about in wages, are the policies that we pursue. There are a lot of other things we're going to do, but those are uppermost in our mind.
We've had a bunch of your members come out and say they're confident that Nancy Pelosi does not have the votes to be the next speaker. I imagine you disagree.
I probably disagree with that. Yes, I disagree with that. The fact of the matter is, though, what we're focused on is the policies that we're going to pursue. Everybody likes to talk about personalities, but much more important to the American people are the policies that we pursue, whether it's on assuring them that they're going to have health care, assuring them that their Social Security and Medicare is going to be protected, assuring them that they're going to have opportunities for jobs and good wages. That's what the American people really care about. The personalities will take care of themselves, but the policies is what we're going to really focus on.
So once you have 155 votes for Majority Leader yesterday, are you at all concerned that if it falls apart for Leader Pelosi for Speaker, that could cause that to unravel?
We'll be focused on the policies.
I'm excited for it. That guys.
Could we crash the stools so we can squeeze in a little bit more?
Can you talk with us? Are you confident you'll be the next speaker?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
What's your level of confidence?
Hi.
What do you say to members who say they have the votes to block you from becoming speaker?
I'm not going to say that. I'm just going to say that
Like man and bit.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah.
I'm just going to say that I'm.
Yeah, you can have people. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We don't know what.
Well, to read it back. We didn't get ourselves. If I'm asked for a black hole, this was probably too far.
Larson, thanked him.
Which was already covered by the
Two over here just kept turning their light up.
It gets brighter and brighter.
Yeah, it's like
the white dude.
Yeah, with the white
He's like,
you see that?
I'm
Like,
that bright. Why is it like that? Now, what you could do over there?
I was like this right here. I was like that. And then I was like,
I knew there'd be enough of you guys with lights that I didn't even put mine on the camera. Are they enjoying the stuff that they're doing?
Yeah, just kind of
right. She said like what she wanted.
Hold on.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, really appreciate it.
Marcy, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Say that to everybody.
Wow. I have to talk to him.
Sorry about before. Usually I'm with NPR. So usually I'm in your way, so I've had enough.
It was great. I'm going to do this more often.
You'll be here more often.
Yeah, I think I will.
Just sign it.
Aren't you senior leadership except for fucking?
Hi, how are you? No, not at all. Yeah, I'm the worst thing ever. Good to see you. Right? Yeah, makes me feel safe. Good to see you. Good to see you.
Congressman Cummings, we'd love to talk to you for a minute.
I'll be right there.
All right, sir. Thanks.
Watch that down.
Cummings. Cummings.
In a while, I don't read everything.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Here.
Well, I'm just a Christian. Oh, no, it's not you. I'm not you. No, it's a bad hall. Yeah, it just is. It's not. It's more narrow than HC5.
Thank you.
Yeah, I saw.
All right, who punched two?
Yeah, thank you.
Who punched two?
Hey guys.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Good morning.
Would you mind stopping in the middle for
I'm gonna
us?
stop right in the middle.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Can you begin by talking about the discussions going on about leadership and the next speaker and where you stand on this?
I've been abundantly clear. I support Nancy Pelosi 1,000,000%. We need somebody who has been battle tested, and she has been. And I think that when you think about the tremendous victories on the part of the Democratic Party, a lot of us ran with the number one issue being health care and the Affordable Care Act. Ladies and gentlemen, there would be no Affordable Care Act if it were not for Nancy Pelosi. And she knows her caucus, and I think we need that kind of leadership right now. We do not need to be divided. That's one of the things that would hurt us. And so hopefully the caucus will agree with me. And there's something else that we have to do. Although we may not have been elected by all the American people, we have to govern as if we were. We cannot just appeal to a limited number of people who like us. We've got to go out there and be razor focused on those issues like healthcare, on making sure people get jobs and infrastructure. And we need to be in a position to say to the President Trump, you said when you were campaigning that you did not like the way our infrastructure was. You talked about other countries having better airports and better highways. And you said you were going to do something about it. And there's 2 years left in your term. And so we stand ready and willing to work with you in keeping your commitment to the American people. And so I think that Leader Pelosi is a person who can help us accomplish that.
And how do you balance that desire with your oversight responsibilities?
Sure, that's a very good question. We can do more than one thing at a time. I was the first person who said to this caucus when they both were running, when Hillary Clinton was running against Trump, President Trump, I said this. I said, we are in a fight for the soul of our democracy. And never did I realize that those words would ring so true. So we have to do two things in my committee, and this is how I see it. On the one hand, we have to make sure that we address the things that the American people want us to address, the things that affect them on a day-to-day basis. But on the other hand, we also have to make sure that we root out fraud, waste, and abuse. And we have to take a look at things that may keep our government from effectively and efficiently doing what government is supposed to do for people. And so we're going to look at the emoluments clause. We got to look at it. We don't have any choice. We've got to look at things like the FBI building. We've got to look at some of the things that have been done during this administration. But let me make it abundantly clear, and I've said it and I'll say it again. As a lawyer of many years, as a trial lawyer who have represented people who have received subpoenas, I know the power of a subpoena. When a person gets a subpoena, they're like shaking in their boots. And usually they run to their lawyer, they got to hire a lawyer, they got to do all those things. Why am I saying this? Because if it comes to a point where we have to issue subpoenas, there will be standards. First of all, we will try in every way that we can to get the documents we need to do our oversight. Then, if they fail to give us the document, and by the way, when we have asked for documents in the past from this administration, they have basically sent us nothing. And we have gotten no help from the Republicans in trying to get those documents. So I want us to make sure that if we issue subpoenas as a last resort, it's done very transparently and it's done with integrity. And I take it as a very, very serious thing to do. So I'm not going to be passing out subpoenas like you know, as I've said many times, passing out Halloween candy on Halloween. No, it's serious. This is affecting people's lives. And so I think, and I'm hoping that the Republicans will join in with us. And even in Trump country, if you look at the results of this election, they're saying, while we like Trump, there's some people saying we like him, we like what he's doing, we want the Congress to make him accountable. We want you to make him accountable. And that's what they have said to us. And they want government to work for them. And so we got to do both. We got to address their issues on a day-to-day basis, what they go through every day. And there's another thing that's happening. I want us to return to a culture of normalcy. I mean, we've gotten so far afield of the way things are supposed to work in this country. I'm trying, and I think our caucus, and I know Steny Hoyer has talked about this, and Nancy Pelosi has talked about it, trying to get back to normal, having normal hearings where not only members of Congress have an opportunity to participate, but are very, very, the public has an opportunity to participate too. Finally, one of the things that has come up is that we want to do more field hearings. We want the committees, I know my committee will be doing more field hearings, going into the districts in the various places in the country so we can hear from Americans and hear what their problems are and the things that they want us to deal with, so that we bring government to their doorstep. That's different. And so, again, the president has said things like, he's made it clear, and he said that he wanted to, as a matter of fact, the only meeting I had with the president was one where he told me that the drug companies were getting away with murder with regard to jacking up the prices of drugs overnight. And he said he was going to do something about it. I said, Mr. President, I'll take you at your word. Let's go and do it. You got 2 more years. Let's do it. We don't have time to mess around with this because people are suffering and dying needlessly. And I could go on and on, but you get the drift, all right?
Congressman?
Yeah, and then it's the last question.
Yeah. On the subject of helping the influx of new young talent actually get the leadership experience they need so that there is someone able to take over after 2 years of transition if Pelosi is the speaker. How does the caucus actually give these new folks the kind of leadership experience that they need, and is 2 years long enough to train up a new generation of people when the top 3 positions are all stacked up right now?
Well, one of the things I think that you left out of that question, which is a very important part of it, and it's a very good question. But there are a lot of people who didn't just come in, who are in that sort of like the area that I'm in, where you're in the middle. You follow what I'm saying? And so there are a lot of people that have been here for years that have not gotten leadership opportunities. I've told people that I think we need a mixture of the old and new. I think the younger generation, the millennials, bring in certain things that they are concerned about, and they see the world maybe a little differently. I don't know how long is long enough, but one thing I do know is that I think we need to concentrate largely on mentorships. That is showing folk the way. I know a lot of people, and I was sitting there in the meeting. I was just thinking that, and I'm going to say this to our freshmen: understand that you begin to run for re-election today. 2 years will be gone before you know it, and so they've got to, number one, they've got to get real, because they've got to keep in mind that they're coming from districts that a lot of are Republican districts, and so if we don't do our job, that is addressing the issues that the American people sent us to do, they won't be there. Okay. Number two, again, mentorships. I think we're going to have to work on how do we hold people's hands and help them learn this new system. This is a little different than state legislature. So I served in the Maryland legislature for 14 years. It's different, greatly different, and so they have to do that. So I don't know how long it's going to take, but I think Leader Pelosi, by having this communications team, that they've done a great job. That's been helpful. I'm beginning to see more and more that intertwining between the older folk and the younger folk. And so how long it'll take, I don't know. But I know we are laser focused on making sure that these great people it's probably one of the best classes that I've ever seen when I read about them. This is a phenomenal class, and they are ready for action, and I do not for one moment want them to be discouraged. All right?
Thank you, Dr. Fleming.
Thank you all. I enjoyed being here. All right now. I hope I gave you enough.
Give me something. All right. Give me this one thing.
All right now.